It has been a rough start to the school year for Donald Trump. His report card is definitely going to say, has problems working and playing well with others. And there's not much we can do. What can we do? Because the Oval Office doesn't have any corners. You can't put him in a timeout because it's open warfare between Donald Trump and the Republicans.
Everybody thought it was going to be another typical political back and forth, you know, the usual late-night TV clash. But the second the interview started, the whole vibe changed. Stephen Colbert was sitting there under those bright studio lights on The Late Show while the crowd settled in and clapped, and behind him the big screen lit up with Donald Trump joining by satellite. At first, it sounded like they were going to talk about the economy, inflation, jobs, all the stuff people have been stressed about lately, but Trump almost immediately steered the conversation somewhere else. Instead of giving straight answers, he started going after Colbert himself, criticizing the show, calling out the media, saying stories about him were twisted or completely made up. And honestly, he sounded totally confident, like someone repeating arguments he'd delivered 100 times before. Then he dropped the phrase everyone already knew was coming, fake news. The audience laughed a little at first, but it was that awkward kind of laugh where nobody's really sure if they're watching comedy anymore or something way more serious. And the interesting part was Colbert didn't laugh at all. He glanced down at his notes for a second, looked back up at the screen, and suddenly the whole room felt tense.
Trump defended his actions toward Tillerson, saying he was wasting his time. I'm not undermining. I think I'm actually strengthening authority. Yes, I'm not burning your house down. I'm lowering your heating bills.
You could actually feel the atmosphere in the studio change little by little. The laughter started dying out, the crowd got quieter, and suddenly it didn't feel like a comedy segment anymore. Trump kept talking, saying journalists made up stories about him and treated him unfairly, and it followed that same pattern people had heard so many times before: deny everything, attack the source, and move on without getting into specifics. But this time, Colbert didn't just brush past it. He slowly took off his glasses and set them down on the desk, and somehow that tiny move completely shifted the energy in the room. The audience noticed it instantly. It felt less like entertainment and more like an actual confrontation unfolding live on air. Then Colbert leaned forward and, in this really calm voice, asked, "So your position is that none of these claims have any evidence behind them?" Trump answered immediately, flat out denying all of it. He said the reports about contractors, payments, settlements, and business disputes were false and politically motivated. Colbert didn't interrupt him once. He just waited for Trump to finish speaking, stayed completely composed, and then quietly reached beneath the desk.
Trump's careless Twitter eruptions, we could be heading toward World War III. All this time, we've been worried the next war would be caused by artificial intelligence. Turns out the real danger is natural stupidity.
Before Colbert even opened the binder, the audience had already gone completely silent. You could feel everyone waiting for whatever was coming next. He set it down on the desk and said really clearly, "This is not a monologue. This is a record." And the second he said that, the screen behind him split in half. On one side was Trump reacting live, and on the other was a close-up of an actual document under a camera feed. Colbert started reading from sworn testimony and legal filings tied to contractor disputes connected to Trump's business history. The wording itself was dry, formal, almost emotionless, but that's what made it hit harder because it wasn't opinion or commentary anymore. It was part of an official record. The whole studio froze. Trump tried jumping in, saying it was misleading and taken out of context, calling the segment biased and unfair. But Colbert never raised his voice or got emotional. He just kept reading calmly, line by line, focused entirely on the document instead of the interruptions. Then he looked up and asked the question that completely changed the energy in the room. If this transcript is fake news, who lied under oath? And after that, there was this heavy silence. Because suddenly the phrase fake news, which had always worked like a shield to dismiss criticism, started sounding weaker when it was sitting right next to sworn testimony and official filings. Trump kept trying to regain control, attacking the source, attacking the timing, pushing back however he could, but every argument was met with another reference to the actual record. And then Colbert delivered the line that really broke the room. Calling a document fake does not make it disappear. It only tells us you wish it would. The crowd exploded. Some people stood up clapping, others just stared in shock, while on the screen Trump leaned forward looking visibly frustrated, his voice getting louder, his gestures sharper. But the binder stayed open the entire time. The highlighted pages didn't move. The record didn't change. Then all of a sudden, the satellite feed flickered. Trump's image froze for a split second in the middle of a sentence, and then the screen went black. The audience gasped all at once. Colbert looked at the empty screen, then back down at the binder, and instead of celebrating or turning it into some dramatic TV moment, he just slowly closed it. The sound echoed through the studio almost like a judge's gavel. Then he quietly said, the transcript is still here. And that's what made people stand up, not a joke or a punchline, but the feeling that the whole thing had turned into something bigger than entertainment, almost like a live clash between denial and documented evidence. By the next morning, clips from the segment were everywhere. Some people called it political theater, others called it accountability, but everybody remembered the same image, one side shouting fake news while the other calmly held a binder full of records. And honestly, in that moment, the silence said more than either of them did.